A busy day in Foxborough. Well, they were in Foxborough. We were at home, but we heard from a ton of Patriots on Friday, including offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. I'm Sierra Goodwill, here with Evan Lazar. A myriad of questions about Cam Newton, the quarterback competition that's going down in New England for the first time in 2 decades. But one thing that's really interesting is if Cam Newton beats out Stidham for that starting role, he has a completely different skill set than Tom Brady and what McDaniels has worked with now for his entire tenure in New England. But McDaniels not really ready to just throw out the entire Patriots offensive history just yet.
Yeah, it basically sounds to me like they're just, this is what great coaches do, Sarah, and that's they adapt their own scheme to fit whichever talent they have on the field. And McDaniel said, and he's right, it's not just quarterback that you do this with, right? And he mentioned the fact that, over the last couple of years, they've gotten a little bit bigger at wide receiver. So maybe the things that you were running with Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola and Chris Hogan as your top 3 receivers is a little bit different than when it's N'Keal Harry and Mohamed Sanu and Edelman, right? Because those guys are 6'2", 6'3", and bigger guys. So I think that's the big thing with McDaniels is that the foundation of the Patriots offense is going to stay the same. And most of us are probably going to watch the games and see a lot of similarities from what we were seeing with Brady, but then they're going to have to adapt the scheme that already exists to fit the next quarterback. And I think the biggest thing, obviously, and was asked directly about this, is the mobile quarterback element that Cam certainly brings, and even Stidham to a degree can bring as well. And he said, again, you got to adapt the scheme to your personnel. It's not something that I've done a ton recently, obviously, but he did point to 2008 with Matt Castle and then his years with Tim Tebow in Denver, that he does have some history dabbling with a little bit of a mobile passer compared to Tom Brady, who's obviously more of a pocket guy. So I think that the big thing, though, the big takeaway is that we're not throwing out the entire playbook. We're not ripping the whole thing up. We're taking the original Patriots playbook and just adding and adapting to the new quarterback.
One thing we learned on Friday is that there really hasn't been much football activity so far at training camp. But from what you heard from McDaniels, do you think there's been any sort of evaluation about Cam Newton or the quarterback competition in his eyes, or is it really just a completely open slate that they're waiting for padded practices and some more actual competition on the football field to gauge where they're at?
I think that really the competition will start when pads go on, but the one thing that you did take away from both McDaniels and Cam himself was that, this relationship and learning to mesh with the coaches and learning to mesh with Bill Belichick, I think is going a lot smoother than maybe people initially thought. I think the biggest reason, McDaniels said that you kind of learn a little bit about Cam and you realize that he's really straightforward with you. He tells you how it is. He tells you what he likes, what he doesn't like, and he kind of takes coaching extremely well. And I think that's something that maybe he said on the surface to kind of put that headline out there, that to get people off the scent that maybe this won't be the best relationship. But I think that there's really a lot of truth to that Cam is going in there with the mindset of, I got to tell these coaches, this is how I like to do it, X, Y, and Z. And the coaches are not going into Cam needs to become one of us. They're saying we're actually going to adapt everything to Cam. And listening to them talk about that, it was a lot of talk about how this offense is going to change with Cam under center. And maybe those were just the way that the questions were pointing McDaniels, but it just felt like there was a lot of thought going into that from the Patriots coaching staff. McDaniels actually said that he reached out to old coordinators of Cam Newton and picked their brains about how exactly to deal with Cam and talk to Cam and coach Cam. So I don't think you're doing all of those things for a guy that's going to ride the bench all year. Now, I'm not saying it's a done deal by any means, but it did seem like they're doing a lot of homework and a lot of prep work on how to get Cam Newton acclimated into this offense. And I don't know if you do that if you think the guy's going to be the backup.
For sure. Well, we'll keep you updated on the quarterback situation and all of your Patriots content on our website at clnsmedia.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Patriots Press Pass.